A few weeks ago, I visited friends of mine, and they have a 6-year-old boy, and that boy was playing with some wooden blocks when I arrived, and he was playing in his room. When he realized I was arriving, he immediately came to me and asked for my help, because what he wanted to do is to build this beautiful robot. And when he was trying, it always was collapsing. And he quickly realized one thing, which is collaboration is key to success. You can't do this on your own. You need some other people to help you. You need a whole group of people to achieve something as beautiful as this nice little robot. And what we want to show you today is how we build Cawemo to enable you to have a better collaboration in your workflow automation project, because also in there, collaboration is key to success. You can't do this on your own. If you want to automate a workflow on your own, well, that's tough luck. You have a big list of things to do, so better involve your people. And to demonstrate this, we will do a little role game today. We have Catalina being our engineer. She will implement everything, and I will play the business analyst. And then we will take a look at how Cawemo plays together with Confluence, our modeler, and the engine. And let's take a look. There we are. We start to focus on Confluence first and how that works with Cawemo. And the first thing that we will do, we already have a Confluence page prepared. Let me maybe zoom in a bit more. And who are we? We are a toy store. We do e-commerce, and we obviously have a checkout process. Probably you're familiar with some things like that from all the Amazon, Zalando, online shops, whatnot. And what we have in here, so we already had a description of the process in a few steps. And what we start to do is to turn this now into a BPMN process model. And for that, we have Cawemo. And in Cawemo, we already have a project. And let me go into the project, and we can start a new diagram called Toy Store. And in here, now what I want to do is just add these individual steps into the process, because some colleagues already prepared that. That's cool. So let's go and just copy-paste what we have. So we start with the start event, purchase is confirmed. Then we obviously need to collect the payment. And the next step will be we check if we have all the goods that were purchased in our stock. And then we need to package them, obviously. So let's package the goods. And then when everything is packaged, we can add this package for being picked up by our logistics provider. And in the end, then everything is ready for shipping. So this is basically the process that we want to automate. However, we do have the step of check availability of goods. And what is missing in here is how do we react on this? So let's add a gateway and say goods are available. And if they are available, everything is fine. Available. If they are not available, then we are bitmean store, we just cancel the purchase. So yeah, and in the end, purchase is canceled. So not available. Now we have a nice process. And this looks already much better. Me as the business analyst, I know BPMN, so I can go ahead and already start to add the task types. So this will be a service task. This will be also a service task. Package goods, obviously, that's a manual task. And add package for pickup is also a manual task. And this probably is a service task. So one thing that we can do now is that we base this on the Confluence page. And we have a link to this Confluence page. And what we can do, we can add this link to the process and have it in here. So it automatically is rendered as a clickable link. So whenever you open the process diagram, you can link back to the original Confluence page where all this came from. And then people can compare and see, oh yeah, we forgot about this gateway stuff, so we didn't know beforehand, but now these two things are linked together. And now that I have completed the first iteration of my process, what I can do, I can create a milestone and save this milestone for later on. And maybe we can also give it a nice name to say first iteration. So now that I have everything there, we freezed the milestone for later on, and we can always come back. Now I can invite my colleague Catalina, and for that I'm going back to the project, and in here I can add collaborators. So let me add Catalina, and I'm not mistyping the name. And we can add that for editing, commenting, or view access. In this case, she definitely needs to edit the process, so we leave it at that and invite her to the process.
Okay, so I got the email. I will go to my inbox and accept the invite. And here I am. This is the process. I will just fastly go through it. Okay, so a customer chooses some products, makes the order, and the order is shipped or the purchase is canceled. At the first sight, it kind of looks okay, but on a second thought, there is something funny here if you look closer. So, okay, the order is made, the payment is collected, then I check if the goods are available. If they're not available, I'm canceling the purchase, and then what I'm doing? I'm keeping the money. So what I would do now, since I found something that I'm not quite okay with, I will just write a comment, mention Volker. What if payment is, okay, collected, but goods are not available. Okay, and wait now.
So now I can come back to the process model, and I can see, oh yeah, there's a new comment here. So this icon turned up. And let's see what Catalina told me. So what if payment is collected but goods are not available? Okay, so what can we do? Okay, let's adjust the process model. Maybe we can just move this a bit further back and rearrange this. So we first check the availability, and then we collect the payment only if the goods are available, so we don't have to refund any money. And we fix this by reconnecting this guy here, getting it back in shape. So now we have a nice process. So this is now the second iteration of our process. And let's again create a milestone out of this. And now Catalina can continue and take a look.
Okay, so to better see this, I will look into the history. And I will click this awesome thing. And I see here that, okay. So for the sequence flow before, the target was packaged goods before. Yep. Okay, so that's perfectly fine, nice. Volker, I think I really like your approach. It's easy to understand, better than using compensation or anything else. So I think I will approve this. It looks nice.
Cool. So what we saw now is how you can link Confluence and Cawemo together and to create a good process model and collaborate with your engineers to come up with a good process that we can actually automate. And the next step will be that we look at how Cawemo plays together with the modeler.
Okay. So what I will do now, I will go back to the model and export as BPMN. And I can open it. Maybe make this a bit bigger. And I will start looking step by step to see what I can do to implement it. For those who were here already before, I think you already heard Nellis talk about how to implement external tasks, so I will be using this, and we already have them running. So then I will just use the topics to fill this in and add implementation for it. Okay, so the first step is, of course, to make this executable, and I can give it a name. Toy Store, not quite. Okay. Okay, so if I scroll down, I also see the element documentation, so the link to Confluence that Volker just added before in Cawemo. And I can start implementing this. So I go to the service task, and then I choose external, and I add a topic. Check availability. Okay. Then in here, I have a gateway, so I need a variable. Expression, and I have this, and I say available, and in case it's not, then, okay, let me go back. Is this, okay? Yeah, just checking. Okay, now, moving forward. Yeah, is there? I checked. It's little, and unfortunately I cannot zoom in more, but yeah, thanks. Okay, collect payment is again external, and I say collect payment. Okay. Then, okay, maybe I can make it a bit bigger. Then looking in here, of course, business analysts, they like to make everything manual. So actually we have already an external task implemented for this. So no, actually this should be a user task, the user who actually packages the good. But between these two, there is something missing, and that is a service that actually generates the label for the package. So this will be service and generate package label. I'll add that quickly. Again, external label. Okay, and this, of course, not manual, but a user task. Okay, and I think there is this little guy here left. Okay, that it is cancel purchase. Quite. Okay, and looking at it, I think I went through everything. So what I would do now, I will save it, and I will ask Volker to have a look now and tell me what he thinks.
All right. Since I don't know how to operate Git, I would not have access to this file anyway. But luckily, we have Cawemo for this. And I can go to this milestone history view. And now what I see in here is I have my 2 milestones, but oh, there's something new in here down there. So let me open this one. And this now has user task. This now has the additional service task. And this is the version that Catalina just edited in the modeler, and it got synced back to Cawemo. And what we can do is we can take a look at what happened. And oh yeah, so let's take a look. We have in here the type changed to conditional. Okay, there was a condition added. We have this task type was changed from manual to user task. Okay, maybe I should really go back to BPMN training and learn the different task types. We have a new task was added here, so the sequence flow was also changed. And we have, again, the task type changed. So, cool. Now, why did you add this new task? What happened?
So, logically thinking, there is one person that puts everything in a box, but before adding it for pickup, it needs to have a label on top, so then it's recognized when it's picked up by the delivery company. So, this is why I added it.
Okay. That's a good reason to change the process. So before we agreed on the first version, so now I can easily accept this change because you should always trust your engineer. They know how this works. So what can we do next? I have a cool idea what we could add to this process. So let me create a copy of this file. Close this guy here. And so we want to collect money from people. and we know that in some suburbs of Berlin there live people that don't have that much money. So maybe we want to do some check before if they are credible and if we could actually collect the money. So let's change the process a bit more, and let's add another task in here, this way, where we say check customer credibility, and then afterwards we add some more space here, add a gateway again to check, okay, credibility is good, question mark, and this is yes, it's good, so we can continue, and if it's not, then cancel purchase again. For those people who we most likely don't get the money, we also don't want to ship the goods, obviously. So let's just cancel the purchase here. Purchase is cancelled. And now that we have this new process, Catalina, what do you think? Maybe you can take a look.
Oh, well, I know everyone likes last-minute changes, of course, especially developers. But, you know, for checking customer credibility, how would you do that? We will need some proper requirements for this and time to implement it. I would rather go with the version that we agreed on and then think about this a bit more and come up with a second iteration on it at a later time. What do you think?
Well, okay, let's admit we don't have too much time to get this implemented. So, okay, let's keep this for the second iteration and come back later to this. Okay, so what we now saw is how Cawemo plays together with the modeler. You can export files from Cawemo into the modeler to continue in there to implement all your processes. And then we can sync them back to Cawemo to then compare them with different versions, the ones that you had before. So that's how Cawemo and the modeler play together. And the next step is obviously to bring in the engine, because ultimately we want to automate this.
Okay, so as he didn't change anything, I can just use what I already have here in the modeler. I will try and deploy this. Just FYI, don't do that. Like first, before deploying to production, make sure that you properly tested everything. And yesterday, Tobias, I think, had a talk about this. If you missed it, you can watch the recording. I think it will be available in 1 week or so. Okay, so moving forward with this, just this time, doing it this way. So here, if I refresh this to make sure that it's there, I have an engine running. So it's production deployment, a local production deployment. And as you can see in here right now, I have 0 deployments at the moment. So if this talk would want to appear, it's here. I will go back to my modeler. And here, it already saved the names. Nice. And I can press deploy, and it looks green. And now back to cockpit, small refresh. My deployment is there, just double checking. Okay, looks like my process. So now that I did the hard work of deploying this, then I can hand it over to Volker and he can.
Okay, so now that we brought this process to production, and yeah, we rejected this version here, but okay, let's see. Oh yeah, there we have something new, engine. And let's open this one here, and maybe we can. So this was the second iteration that we didn't follow, but let's compare to the first one that we initially had in Cawemo, or let's compare to the one that Catalina had in the modeler. And as we can see that in here in the modeler version, there's no change. So that was the last version that we agreed on, and that became now the production version. And what we can do now with this is. We started in Confluence, and we can now come back and say, okay, how can we bring this process diagram back to Confluence? We use an embed snippet. So we have the sharing link. We can copy paste an embed snippet. We can go to our nice Confluence page, which obviously we expanded with more documentation, as you can see. And in here, we just say, okay, let's add a macro. We have this cool HTML macro. HTML, there you are. We insert it, we paste the code, and it's just a simple iframe with a URL. We update the page, and there we are, we have the process. So that's how easy it is to bring in a process diagram into a Confluence page or any other HTML page. And you can even play with it. You can zoom in if you can't read anything. So that's how you can then bring things back to Confluence. And whenever you, Catalina would deploy a new version into the engine, this diagram would be updated automatically because we now connected all the deployments of this particular process to this iframe. And with every deployment, this will be updated live. So let's come back to this guy here. So what we did a deployment to the engine. These were also synced back to Cawemo. And then in the end, we were able to embed it back to Confluence or to any other HTML page wherever you have your documentation. And this is then the full picture of how Cawemo is integrated into the full stack. And maybe you ask yourself, how do I get all this? Well, you can register on Cawemo.com, create your user account there, then contact your Camunda account manager to get the enterprise features enabled. And we have technical documentation in our documentation pages where there is a description of how you install these things and how you can also use this. And in Cawemo, we also have a feedback form where you can just type any feedback. Do you have that open, Catalina?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe you can just
as
briefly show it.
As going this?
Yeah. So that's how you can reach us, both of us, directly. And give us feedback of what works, what doesn't. And yeah.
Okay, so now that we know how to get all these, what's next in Cawemo?
What's next? That's a good question. Daniel already mentioned yesterday a few things. So let's take a look. What's coming to Cawemo? We are improving the handling of implementation properties in Cawemo. You know that they are currently rather not visible. The XML is still keeping them, but they are not visible. And we want to look at, okay, how can we make sense of them? And one thing is, for example, for call activities, to understand the called element property. If we have both diagrams already in Cawemo, we can automatically link them because we can understand the property. That's one case. That's one thing. The other topic is improve support for bigger projects. Or in other words, we can say, let's make Cawemo ready for enterprise usage. One thing that's requested by everybody is like, okay, we need more structure in projects. We have multiple files. We lose the overview, so we want to add folders. That's one thing. User authentication, that's another thing. In bigger corporations, you have different ways of how you do it. In a small SaaS tool like Cawemo started, you just register, use your user account, but in a big corporate, you have your corporate account. And then the big topic, which is DMN modeling in Cawemo, which is something that we want to work on next year. It will take a while to bring this in. We need to go into some discussion of how we actually will implement this. And then Catalina has the nice job to actually do this. And then hopefully next year we can add DMN modeling to Cawemo in the same way as you would model your BPMN files. And with that, we hope that your next project doesn't end like this, because you have a strong collaboration platform and you can actually bring everybody together to make this beautiful toy work together. And remember, collaboration is key to success. Thank you.